Welcome to the Wydaho Show.
Now you say head for the canyon. What like where would you go to grab logs?
We went all over. We used to log those clear over in Jackson. In fact, I got one of the days we was over there in Jackson, and my wife come over and she fixed her lunch right there, and we sat down to eat. I looked up and there was a great big old tree right in the road, and I couldn't see there was Tetons, and so I took and grabbed the saw and went down and sawed that thing down and went back and praised the looks of the Tetons, and then I went to go back to work, and my oldest boy, he had set his saw on the stump of a thing, and I fell that tree right across it, and there was pieces of it that was as big as a quarter.
You ruined your son's saw. Yeah.
So we call that the $100 view.
So you go. So you wake up from 4 to 8 a.m. You work in the mill. 8 o'clock you go out and log wherever.
Yeah.
And how are you logging? You have horses? You have a tractor?
Oh, we had what we called a quick way to load with, and we had a pretty good setup. We had a I can't think of the guy's name, but we bought his truck. He was over in Jackson, and we bought his truck, and he had a trailer, so we was able to get pretty good load logs, and we'd go.
How would you load logs?
With this quick way, it had a big thing out, you know.
Oh, okay.
And then my brother, he was pretty good at running that thing, and we had one of our older brother's sons, and he'd taken and whipped him out on that with that quick way. He'd whip him out and he'd send him out, and then he'd let him down easy, and he'd hook on another log, and then he'd ride the log in and up onto the truck, and then he'd grab the tongs, and my brother would whip him out, and he'd go out. Well, that was a good deal.
How did you skid the logs?
Well, that quick way to get him quite a ways away.
Okay.
You could pluck him out. You could pluck him out about 100 feet, you know.
Okay.
And
So you just kind of logged in places where you could get the truck into?
And then we had a crawler tractor that would bring him in.
Oh, okay.
And it worked pretty good. By the time I had a guy that joined our church down in California, that every time one of my kids would go on a mission, he'd send me $500, and when the $500 was gone, I doubled my wages. And I didn't even know that kid was gone on a mission. And I was trying to run into trouble because my second boy, my first one went up into Montreal, Canada, and that was why his was 150. And then my second son, he went to Japan. And he had enough money saved that if he'd put it into yen when he went out, well, he could have got 300 yen for the dollar.
Yeah.
And then it went sour all the way. They went clear down to 190 yen to the dollar by the time he was to come home. But my oldest daughter, she wanted to go on a mission too, and she went back to in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Son's mission in Japan was 300 a month when we got by the time of it. So her Lana's mission was $300 a month too. So I had to work back to the salt mine.
So you wake up, you work at the sawmill 4 to 8 on a typical day. You go out and log at 8, and you get home about when?
We'd get back about 4 o'clock, and we'd saw until 10.
Saw till 10. So you're sawing and logging from 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then taking Sunday off.
Oh, we never worked on Sunday. That was against the big.
Yeah, well, you need to rest sometime.
Yeah, but it worked good, by the time I had that Lana, when she came home, I had so much money that it didn't matter how much the mission was. The next daughter that went to Bristol, England, and that was $400 a month. Then my youngest son, I don't know what it was that he went down into the Anaheim, California mission. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't enough to even stir me at 4 o'clock.
Right. Your business just kept growing when it needed to fund all your children's missions?
Yeah, I got them all. My last daughter, her mission, why they called her the Fresno, California mission, and then they got her in the mission home, and they changed it to the Fresno Hearing Impaired mission, and that was the most expensive mission that I had. It was only $700 a month. So now the church changed it.
How's that?
The church has got it so that if you got a missionary that you go out, why it costs $500 a month, I think now.
They just have one flat rate now for all the missionaries?
Yeah, and they take and see there's some missions that they can get by with $100 a month, but some missions,
I see.
But it's balanced out so that it costs just the same to send a missionary down to someplace in the U.S. or anywhere. But they still put it so that if I was to go on a mission, I'd have to pay the whole thing. Well, I think they do pay a little for house.
Right.
But it's different.
So you raise all your kids, and kids leave, go on their missions, go out in the world? What are you doing at this point in life?
Well, I got kids that's trying to shut me off so that they don't get to go to work or anything. I took and fell out in the log pile the other day, and boy, they just shut me off so that I wouldn't even be able to work in the mill. I do have problems with my feet. I can't tell where the darn things are all the time, and I get tangled up in them, and I fall, and then it takes me quite a while to get up.
Well, you've been getting up for a long time, Stanley. So like, who are your customers around here now? What you're still out there working like crazy in the sawmill?
Yeah, you know that I taken. I haven't got right now. I haven't got any orders that I need to fill right now. But the thing of it is, there's people still want me to saw some lumber for them, you know, and so I come down here, and some days I hit lucky and everything, and you know, this is what makes it kind of interesting, and yet it just eats on me. But
What?
you know that when we first started in the mill here, Dad had the nerve to charge $12 for 1,000 board feet of lumber.
Okay.
And you know, when we took over the mill, when my brothers and I took over the mill, why, I had this guy that he had a thing on his door over there in Soda Spring. And it says, "You Mormons don't need to ring the doorbell because we're Catholics," you know. But you know, that guy, he came over and he wanted some lumber from me.
Yeah.
And so I sought him out a load of lumber, and he came over here and he paid me $50 $1,000 for the lumber. And I dealt with him for 40 years. And you know, he took it, he'd come over here and I'd have it figured up on $50 $1,000.
Okay.
And he says, "You can't do it for that," he says. And so he's up to price to $87.50 of 1,000. And so I done business with him for 40 years. The first lumber I sold to him for $50 $1,000. Last lumber I sold to him was $400 $1,000, and I never raised the price on him once. He'd always say, "You got to have more than that, you know, more than that." And you know that here this spring, well, last year, they talked me into charging $1,000 $1,000.
Yeah.
I swore I'd never go over $500 $1,000. But I quit swearing because the kid said that I was going broke. And you know, so I sat down and started figuring it up, and sure enough, I was going broke because I had, when the mill was turned over to us, and that we'd always have about 300,000 or 400,000 feet of logs in the yard, paid for and everything. And you know, just slowly going, I was down to where right now I've got less than 20 or 30,000 feet of logs in the yard right now. And see, I haven't got to 200,000 feet to saw and get money. So I raised the price to $1,500 a thousand now.
Yeah.
And the darn guys comes in here and I figure up their bill and they give me a check and lo and behold, to look at it and they put in 20 or 30, 40, 50, $100 extra. I can't understand what's going on, you know.
I guess they like you, Stanley.
Well,
I've purchased a couple orders from you, but that was maybe at least 5 or so years ago. You back when you were a young man.
Yeah. If you 5 years ago, you'd have probably got stung for about $500 a thousand.
Okay, I can't even remember what I paid you, but it was all worth it.
You know that I take and I think about it, and you know, when the guys come in and I saw them lumber out, and then they tell me, "Oh man, that's you can't." They always say that they really like what they saw. I don't know. It doesn't seem right to me, you know. And I can remember that Dad had taken, put a couple of 3 boards on a thing and let him go out with it, just paying him $2. I figured up at a guy's bill the other day, and I told him it was $500 and some, and I refigured that thing 3 times, and it come out $500, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, you got your price and you got your return customers. That's good.
You know, the return customers, you know, I don't know whether you know much about NAPA or not, but when that went in,
NAFTA?
yeah,
Okay.
that was that Canada put lumber down here. Here I was, I got my 300,000 feet of logs out in the yard here.
Yeah.
And I have $300 a thousand into those logs, and that NAFTA went in, and I could have had lumber come in from Canada, laid right here in this yard for $310 a thousand. It was planed and everything.
Wow.
And
It just cut the market out right away, huh?
I figured I was dead.
Yeah.
But my customers come in and I tell them, I said, you can go down to Jenkins Lumber down there in Alpine. You can get it cheaper than I can sell it to you for. They said, we don't care. We want your lumber.
Awesome. Wow.
And so I owe my customers a lot of praise. They're good people. And I tell you that I learned one thing from my stake president. He took and he was going to give us a lesson up in Afton.
Is this state church president or
State president of the Afton, Wyoming state.
Okay.
And he took it. He had us up there in Afton, and he had this chalkboard up there, right in front. We could all see it, you know, and it was kind of interesting. When when this state president got out there to give us a message, why, he took it, he pulled it out there, and he says, "What have I done here?" And boy, hands went up all over there. They knew good. And so he called on one guy and he said, "Well, you proved you can." He had 8 and 7 was 13.
Yeah.
And he says, "Is that all I've done?" We couldn't see anything else he'd done. He had 3 problems right. We couldn't see that. The only one we could see is the one that was wrong.
Yeah.
And you know, I took it from that. And I come down here and mail at the mill, and I didn't care who came into the mill. I didn't care whether he was considered a bum or what he was. I always looked at him as, there's one good point about that guy. I'm gonna find it out what it is. And you know, I've had one guy that was from over in Jackson, and he wasn't when he died, but he was in a different place. But he gave me a check for $900, and never did get any money out of it. And went.
But the check bounced?
Yeah, I could have played basketball with him. That was great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, it went for about 2 or 3, maybe 4 years. That guy come into the mill and he says, "Would you cut me some lumber?" I said, "You bet. What do you want?" And he told me what he wanted, and so I sawed it out for him.
Okay.
And he came in and he gave me greenbacks. I must have done maybe 2, 3, maybe $400,000 worth of business with him. He always paid me in cash.
Yeah.
And you know, he was one of the greatest friends I ever had. He'd come down. Last time he came down, he was in bad shape. His wife had died and everything, and he came down and he parked out here about where we are, and he honked the horn. I went out and talked to him, and that was the last time I seen him. And he's just a great friend. You know, everybody has got a good point about it. And if you look for the good point and forget the bad, it'll do miracles for you.
Nice. Excellent. Thanks for the story.
Yeah.
So you're 92. Can you give our audience any secrets to a long, healthy life?
Well, I've always kind of tried to take good care of my body. I appreciate it. It's a good thing. I've had a good life, and so I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything that chocolate's one thing that gets to me a little bit, you know.
Yeah. Well, ice cream or what? What's your favorite vessel for chocolate?
Did you know that the last ice cream I've had out of the ice cream shop over here,
Uh-huh.
it it was licorice.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorite.
The licorice ice cream, huh?
Licorice ice cream or licorice, just licorice. It's good and I've more or less been bone doctor for the majority of my life. I've had some of the worst things happen to me. I heard it over at Port Nip that there was a doctor that would guarantee that I couldn't ruin his operation of patching up hernias. And I had a couple of them, so I decided, I'll go over and see. And I went over there to do it. And they gave me gas instead of the intravenous. The intravenous way to put a guy out is the best way to go. But
Yeah.
anyway, when I came out of that over there, I had pneumonia. And they had me down as an outpatient, and so they kicked me out of the hospital at 11:30 at night.
Oh my.
And I went over to my son's place. He was getting ready for Thanksgiving, and he was having his in-laws come. So I told my wife, we better get out of here. And so we came over here and we went up. I ended up in Hatton Hospital, and with that way.
Getting over the pneumonia?
I was trying to get over the pneumonia, and they had one problem that they couldn't figure out. And they'd run me through MRIs, they were taking the x-rayed me and everything. They couldn't find where I was losing blood. But Dr. Brown says, boy, you're losing a lot of blood. And so I took it. I could tell that I was getting a little weaker, And so he got overly excited and he put me on an ambulance, sent me down to Ogden Regional. And I got down to Ogden Regional, they run me through MRIs and x-rayed me and run stuff through my system and couldn't find where I was losing blood. I'm not a doctor, but if I had been me, I'd have been looking at maybe where they operated on me, but just,
Yeah.
but anyway, they never did find out where I was losing blood, and some crazy doctor. I was on my way out. It looked pretty good to me, and I was kind of looking forward to it because I had a wife over there. Well, man, this is neat, And that doctor gave me 4 blood transfusions, and he got me feeling a little better. Then a cotton-picking spirit spoke to me. And you know what the spirit said to me?
What's that?
Well, I'd say you'll find out that he gives the shortest sermons that you ever heard. He merely said repent. And I thought, I thought I was a pretty good guy. I said, what I've got to repent of. And he took me back 60 years and told me that I was singing the done something that he had done, and so I couldn't. I've changed. I can't convert anybody to the church. I can't save anybody. The only person that can save us is this Jesus Christ. And I know that for a fact. And he's made it. I got on an LDS mission because the Lord was the one that called me.
Right.
And you know that I got on the mission because I was watching a 3-act play down in that, and then in 3 acts, my friend was sitting on one side of me, and the bishop was sitting on the other side of me, and out of the clear blue, that friend of mine says, "Izatt, let's go on a mission." I said, "Okay, let's go." And the bishop called me in, and he says, "I'd like to talk to you."
Yeah.
And so I went into his office, and you know what he said?
What?
He says, "Well, Elder Izatt, you want to go on a mission." I didn't want to go on a mission. Those guys come back from a mission, and they'd say they set dogs on them and sprayed them, and I didn't want to do that. And so, but I did want to be like one of my friends, and Roy Brogue. He if he said he'd do something, he'd do it, whether it was wrong or right. And so I knew that the bishop heard me say that I wanted to go on a mission. And so I said, yes, I wanted to go on a mission. Well, that guy, he took and filled me out a temple recommend and pushed it over for me to sign it. And I signed it, and I left, and I thought, well, that wasn't too bad. And so I was working out here to the mill, and my mother come to the door, and she said there was one on the phone, and it was President Winters, and he wanted to talk to me. I said, "When do you want to tell me?" And he told me, and he says, and so I got in the car and went up there to see him, and went into his office. He said, "Well, Elder Izatt, you want to go on a mission?" "Yes." And I want to be like Roy Brogue. And he shoved his, I gave him my temple recommend, and he signed it and shoved it back to me. I come back here and was working in the mill, and they take him, and Mom come to the door and says I was wanted on the phone. Went over to the phone, and it was Salt Lake calling. So I went over there, and they says, "Elder Izatt, you're supposed to be down here to be interviewed for a mission." I said, "When do you want me?" And they said, so I come back. I went down there to Salt Lake, and I went into the administration building there, and I said, "Well, I'm here to be interviewed for a mission." "Well, go into Brother Cowley right there." And so I went into Brother Cowley, and he said, "Well, Elder Izatt, you want to go on a mission?" I said, "Yes." That made 3. I should have been out. But he says, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Wherever the Lord sent me, that's where I'd go." He says, "You mean to tell me you'd go clear down to New Zealand?" I said, "If that's where he sent me, that's where I go." He said, "That's good enough for me." So I come back out, come out here to the mill to work. And Mom come to the door and says, "You wanted on the phone." This was November 28th of 1950. And I went over to the phone, and it was Salt Lake calling, and he says, "Elder Izatt, you've been called to the California mission. Do you accept?" And I says, "Yes." And they said, "I'll be in a mission home on the 4th of December." So I had from the 28th of November to the 4th of December to get ready to go on a mission, and that's the one thing that has made my life worth living.